Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Unit 3, the Constitution. We're going to start off with our essential question. What is the Constitution? How do our political beliefs influence it? Right now, we are entering in the stage as young adults where we are figuring out what we believe in, and essentially, it leads to what we lie on the political spectrum. Perhaps now you are, I don't care about politics, or I don't know who I want to vote for, I don't know what I believe in. Eventually, as time goes on, you will identify those beliefs. Now, moving forward, these are our 4 vocabulary words. First one is preamble. Basically, it's the introduction of the Constitution. Every essay has an introduction, every book has an introduction, so does the Constitution. The Constitution is a big paper, which basically is a contract. A contract to let people know, hey, this is what we want, this is how we want our country to run. So therefore, in order to introduce that, they have the preamble. Next, we have is legislative. That is the power to make laws. Articles, paragraph, legal document. In the Constitution, there are articles that describes what the job of the people who are in power can do or cannot do. Article, as you can see here. Next we have is amending, just a fancy word for change. When you see amendments, that's what it means as well. All right, let's begin. The Constitution. So where did it come from? Well, it came from actually the ancient Greeks. Ancient Greeks were the first, one of the very first, I can't think of the word, very first societies that had their democracy. They had a balanced and limited governments, and including there was separation of powers, meaning that each government had different roles. They didn't only have one person have the whole power in the government. So why have a written constitution? Why do we want this paper? Well, Americans felt that British had wronged them. They wanted to make sure that certain rights could not be changed or even taken away from them. So when the United States became independent from Britain, they said, hey, in order to prove that we are our own country, we need to have this document, because a lot of these countries had their own constitutions, like Spain, England, and it's just a way of saying we're here, no one's going to tell us what to do. A written constitution is a way to show the principles of the government and the rights of the people that could last for generations. As you can see, this constitution was written in the 1700s, and we are in 2022, and here it is. The United States is actually one of the oldest countries, only countries, that has not changed the Constitution. There are different parts of the world in which constitutions have been amended as time goes on. But for some reason, the US has not done that. So, we're going to get into what is the outline of the Constitution. We have this big old essay, this big old paragraph. Well, what does it look like? Of course, it starts with the preamble, the introduction, and then we have all these body paragraphs. It is composed of 7. It is composed of 7. So, but we are only going to focus on Congress, the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judiciary branch. That is all we're focusing on. The relation among the states, amending the Constitution, supremacy of national government, ratification, we will not focus on that. So now we're going to begin our Article 1, the legislature. What did the Constitution want to tell people about this specific role? Well, they wanted to say, hey, we want to have 2 houses in the government. So meaning that it is a bicameral. It is 2 houses. If it's a unicameral, it'll be called 1. We have the Senate and the House of Representatives. That's 2. So right now I want you to think, why do you think they wanted to divide divide Congress into? What was the purpose of dividing this? If you said so the powers are not given to all one person and the powers are divided equally, then yes, you are correct. Again, before the US became the United States, the 13 colonies belonged to England. They had a king called King George. He was very, very, very strict. And the US or the 13 colonies did not like that. They said, hey, just because you're a king, it does not mean you could be a bully. So therefore, they said, when we make our own country, which they did, we want to make sure that we don't give all the power to one person. And that is why we have 2 houses in Congress or the legislative branch. Each state in the United States has these amount of representatives. But each state has 2 senators. California has 2, Oregon has 2, Washington has 2, Nevada has 2. I think this is Arizona, Texas. You can guess the rest, right? Senators, 2. House of Representatives depends on how many people you have in the population, but it's already given. So California has the most. People who are running for office, especially presidents, always want to win the bigger states because that means when they vote, those votes go for them. If you are ever considering to be a senator, or as you know anyone, these are the requirements. You have to be elected every 2 years to be a senator. You must be 25 years old. And you have to have been a U.S. citizen for at least 7 years. And you have to live in the state that you want to represent. Senator requirements. You must be 30 years old. U.S. citizens for at least 9 years. And you must live in your state. And on slide 16, this is for the representative. Okay? And then for slide 17, we're talking about senators. Powers of Congress. So what is the power that people in Congress have? Well, they have the power to collect taxes. They have the power to spend for the general welfare. So think about when we get these stimulus checks, when we get these checks like welfare, like WIC, which is a funding for pregnant ladies, school funding, public school funding, public transportation, right? This has all to do with Congress. They have the power to borrow money, collect taxes. They regulate the buying or selling among the states between countries. So they make sure that that business is regulated, and they regulate immigration. They can also regulate the money, make money from metal, meaning that they are in charge of the currency. They regulate new inventions. They protect patent new inventions, and they protect original works. They also have the power to declare war, raise and support military forces, and establish federal courts. There's a confusion that the president has the power to declare war. Absolutely not. It is all Congress. Congress has the power to declare war. Of course, with power, because they didn't want all of these roles to have all the power, there has to be a limit. And so their limit is that there's no such titles of nobility. No one's a queen or a king. They cannot punish someone for a law that was passed after they did something. favor one state or another. And finally, when Congress passes a law, the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court, they review the law that the Congress has passed. They make sure that that law is not, that the law is constitutional. And that is how they balance each other, which is called checks and balances. Okay? Which I think I'm going to add in our vocabulary. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. See you later, alligators.